If you've been following our channel, you know that I did a 150-hour review on the Camso over-the-tire tracks. I've got the turf tires on right now because I had a different project to do. But I was at a pool filling project earlier in the month, and I had the over-the-tire tracks on. And I would say at this point I have approximately 250 hours on the machine, and this is one of those jobs that you could have never done with a wheeled machine. So if I had the machine in this configuration at that job site, I would have got absolutely nothing done. I would have simply spun. Even with the over-the-tire tracks on, there were a couple spots where I had at least 2 foot of sinkage just from the weight of the machine. And not once did I get stuck. I sunk, but I didn't get stuck. And that would have never, ever happened if I had wheels on. I would have got completely stuck and spun and done absolutely nothing. So we're going to throw in some video footage of the tripod that I had up on that job site, so you can kind of see how the tracks operated. It had been like 3 days of rain. Then we were at the job site over only 12 hours from when it had stopped raining, because it was a time sensitive matter. And we the next day it rained again, and we couldn't go back that day simply because I wasn't going to work with muck. But we came back the following day, so again 12 hours after rain. So we did the majority of that job in nothing but rain. In that one job, I paid for the entire cost of the tracks. So I would have had to rent a track loader if I wanted to do that job, and I didn't have these over the tire tracks. And 2, the amount of money we made on that project would have paid for this entire set of tracks in that one job. And now the tracks are free for all the other jobs that I do with them. So we're going to drop some footage in and have you take a look and see what we were able to do. All right, so here is from the first day, and you can see my back right, we'll call it the passenger side, the right side. You can see me digging in, and each time I go over it, I'm just getting deeper and deeper and deeper. So there's actually water collection. This is kind of in the midpoint of coming down a hill, and a lot of water collects there. It had rained for 2 days, 3 days, and it had just stopped raining the night before we showed up here, so it did not have time. And you can see again some points there I'm probably at least a foot digging in, and I'm kind of being cautious because I don't want to get the machine stuck, because I don't have another piece of equipment at that job site to get it unstuck. So I stopped working in this corner here simply because I didn't want to waste the day and get stuck. So, but I didn't, I just wasn't gonna push my boundaries. And here's from the second day, and after I think this is the second load of dirt, and I'm starting to push the dirt in to the pool. And I think if I had my wheels on at this point, that all that fresh dirt that I was laying on there would be super compacted in the tracks, and I would probably get stuck. With the tracks here, you can see me, dig in a little bit. It's not perfect, but I don't think that I would be able to push all of that dirt down into that pool with how wet it even is. Even on this day, it was still wet material. There's no way that I would have been able to. I would have spun. I would have made a rut, and then I would have sunk to the floor of the machine, and I would have got nowhere. And I also, when you see me push against the dirt mounds, I want you to pay attention to the tires are never moving inside the track. I mean, they're never spinning inside the track. If the wheels are moving, the track is moving, but you never see the track like stopped and the tires spinning inside the side of the track. And if you look at our other over the tire track video, I point out little lugs that are built into the tracks, and that's what keeps the R4 tread pattern locks in, and that's what keeps the wheels from moving inside those tracks. So that's really important, because even when I'm like pushing a load, you'll see that my tires aren't slipping, and sometimes there's clay and wetness in my wheels in this video, and even with the material around the wheels between the wheel and the track, it's still not slipping. You know, the tires are still keeping the machine moving. So that's super important. And here I'm starting to get deep. I'm starting to get deep again. When I run into the dirt pile, you can see me starting to get kind of pushed down and into the muck. This is the middle of December, by the way, and then when we did this, and it was wet. It was really wet. Yeah, see, I'm almost halfway to the hub there. So that's got to be at least a foot and a half that I'm down in there. And that's with lower pressure, right? Because you're a 1 foot wide track by 6 foot length. Your weight's divided by that for ground pressure versus, you know, a square foot or less per wheel if we just had wheels on. So it would have been, what, 6 times the pressure? I'm sure someone will correct me in the comments on what that actually comes out to, but it's substantially less ground pressure. And that's kind of the whole point of the over the tire tracks, and using them on something like this to give you some more flotation. You'll never have the flotation of a real tracked machine, but you don't have the undercarriage maintenance or anything like that with it either. And it's a middle ground, you know. It's not going to replace a tracked machine, but this is my only skid loader, so. And you can see I started to spin there as well, but it pushed it. I mean, I'm pushing it against a piece of concrete right there. In high clay, and when clay gets wet, it gets very slippery. And you can tell this is all clay. I hope that those videos give a fresh perspective on the over the tire tracks. I know in the last video we did at 150 hours, I was kind of neutral on whether or not they were the best choice. And I think that overall, the more I use them, I'm probably at 250 hours now, the more I use them, the more perspective I get. You know, in the past I hadn't really been in a muddy situation other than at my own property, where time is endless. But this was the first time that I had them at a job site where, had I not had them, the job would have never gotten done. And so the tracks have basically, in that one job, paid for themselves. If I would have had to rent a track loader, you know, it would have taken a third, a week or 10 days worth of track loader rental would have taken a third of the profit or more. Whereas, you know, the tracks just got basically paid for in this one gig. So hopefully that offers some fresh perspective. And I know I was, you know, pretty neutral at the 150 hour mark, but I'm leaning more and more towards the value that they provide now that I've used them in some more muddier situations. So definitely like and subscribe, and we'll continue bringing more videos about our equipment and things we do around the farm. Thanks.